We have a problem.
They call Josh Dobbs the Pastronaut because he is an aerospace engineer who built Jeff Bezos' penis-shaped rocket with his bare hands. He was traded from the Browns to the Cardinals before the season started, joined the Vikings a couple weeks ago, and won a game with just days to prepare. It's why the papers really want to know whose shirts you wear.
We just lost the moon.
He won 2 in a row for the Vikings, digesting their offense faster than Russ digests a danger witch. Do you know what Russell Wilson thinks of your fancy science, Josh? That's right, he's a man of God, and this is what men of God do. All day, men of God do this, while thinking about how wrong your stupid science is. And you ran into Hal, the machine.
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
And Russ's moonball brought you crashing back down to Earth.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
Major Dobbs. Major Dobbs. Brings me no pleasure to do this to you, Josh Dobbs. I actually really like you. The Broncos and the Vikings both started this season 1-4 and 1-5. Had 2 of the longest win streaks heading into this game, but the Broncos have emerged in sole possession of the longest win streak in the NFL with 4 wins in a row. We as Broncos fans went from this to this in 1 month. The NFL is an insane place, so let's take a look how the Broncos destroyed the hopes and dreams of the most likable QB in the league and the Minnesota Vikings as Denver moves to 5-5 in a game featuring another ending you just won't fucking believe. This is ground control to Major Dobbs.
Go home.
500 never felt so good. If you want to support this channel, check out my coffee company, BenchwarmerBrew.com. We've got great coffee with funny names, but it's really great coffee. These limited edition tumblers. BenchwarmerBrew.com. Go check it out. I'll have Patreon shoutouts and YouTube member shoutouts at the end of the episode. Want to see a caveman pitch a football to an astronaut? If this isn't the beginning and ending of 2001 A Space Odyssey, I don't know what is. Josh Dobbs went into the game looking like this, and he left looking like this. A bloated Buzz Lightyear. Do you know how I know the Broncos are back? They had the clean sweep of picks on the NFL Network, and even Kyle Brandt picked him to win.
I think Russell Wilson is a poser.
Convincing Kyle Brandt to believe in Russell Wilson is like convincing Tim Tebow to believe in evolution.
Why would you love me so much?
The game started with a huge Broncos forced turnover. Jaquan McMillan recovered the fumble after Baron Browning knocked it loose. That is the key to the Broncos win streak, right? They won the turnover battle again in this game, 3-0. The defense has forced 12 turnovers in the last 3 games. Unfortunately for the Broncos and everyone watching in prime time, even though Alexander Madison fumbled and Jaquan paid this man McMillions, grabbed another pick for Denver, they didn't score, the Broncos, a touchdown until the end of the game. They slowly chipped away at a Vikings lead with 5 field goals from Big Nuts Lutz. The NFL did have a very strange Thanksgiving promo after one of their commercial breaks in the second quarter. All right, Chris, look at all of these beautiful turkeys. Hundreds of gorgeous creatures that will be slaughtered very soon for our eating pleasure in tribute to the day we tricked Native Americans into giving us this great country. God bless America, Chris, and fuck those turkeys. A little too real for my liking. My favorite play, including the game winner, was this Jerry Jeudy pump fake that went for 8 yards. The best part about this Jerry Jeudy pump fake is it's authentic. After the game, Jerry said this.
I called it, the first thing I see was court. All I was thinking about, what if I could have threw it? But I just pumped it. I don't know what happened, I just did it.
Which means he was actually thinking about throwing the ball to Sutton.
Jerry Jeudy's got it.
Now, I will say, Josh Dobbs is insanely elusive when he's scrambling. He does remind me of Patrick Mahomes in terms of how hard he is to bring down. In terms of making everyone miss, even though it doesn't look like he's moving that fast. Dobbs had full liftoff on this first jump pass touchdown. He rushed for another touchdown, giving Minnesota both of their TDs. Outside of one play where Brandon Powell nearly took it to the house and where TJ Hawkinson got wide open, the Denver secondary did a great job containing the Vikings ball catchers. Major Dobbs' only weakness, in my opinion, is his reluctance to stick his hands all the way up another man's rear end. You gotta get him up there, Josh. You can't be an astronaut if you're scared of a little ass, Josh, or a big ass. Now, the Broncos' defense, as opportunistic as it is, has a major flaw.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
The run defense, which gave up 175 rushing yards to the Vikings. The issue is primarily tackling.
Only after we master these tasks do we consider trying to land on the moon.
The Broncos actually have the 12th fewest missed tackles this season, and I think all of them came in this game and in the Dolphins game. So in a way, they're the best at tackling when you think about it. Late in the third quarter, Major Dobbs was dealing. He was moving Minnesota downfield with ease, approaching the red zone for his Viking landing, but betrayal by Alexander Mattison fumbling the balls. In fact, the Vikings lead the league in fumbles, and that might be one area Josh Dobbs cannot help them. The Vikings were up by 8 at that point and likely put the game out of reach if not for that turnover. Instead, Denver runs swing pass after dump pass after swing pass after dump pass after swing pass after dump off. Russell Wilson completed 27 passes. 98% of them were swing or dump passes or checkdowns. Ever wonder why Russell Wilson really has 12 bathrooms in his home? It's because he requires a ridiculous amount of dump-offs. Here's what's crazy about Russ, though. When he's not throwing swing passes, he's either dropping moon balls in buckets or taking sacks. That said, Russ limited his sacks to just 2 in this game, so even that is trending up. After the infinite drive of swing passes, Denver settled for 3, and on the next series, the defense gets to Josh Dobbs. Josie Jewell hits Major Dobbs, forcing the errant throw, and McMillan comes down with the pick. For as good as Jeudy's pump fake was, when the game was on the line and he had a chance to take the lead, he drops Russell Wilson's best throw of the game in the end zone. Russell Wilson in the red zone is like a totally different quarterback. It's 3rd and goal. He's getting blasted in the face by a fucking asteroid. And like Bruce Willis in Armageddon, he sacrifices himself, places his ball like Peyton Manning, only to see it dropped. Look where Jerry Jeudy is when Russ releases this football. Jerry just has to catch that for his quarterback. Now, Minnesota didn't go down without a fight. Kevin O'Connell pulls a fake punt out of what I'm assuming is a perfectly sculpted ass. That guy does squats is what I'm saying. He does squats when he's not jousting his players like a member of American Gladiators. And the Vikings' Ty Chandler goes 30 yards on the fake punt. And I gotta credit the Vikings punter for selling the fake by doing whatever this is. Chandler followed that up with an encore on 3rd and 20. That's right, a fake punt, and the Vikings convert a 3rd and 20. Minnesota was clinging to a 2-point lead. They were converting first downs and just eating away at the clock. Check. Shut the fuck up, David!
I'm afraid I can't do that.
Luckily, the 7th best player in the league, as graded by his peers, Alex Singleton, puts pressure on Dobbs on 3rd and 10, and Minnesota settles for their last field goal. Denver trails by 5, and ground control was nowhere to be found, so everything was going to have to come via the right arm of Russell Wilson. Courtland Sutton will get all the love for the game-winning drive, rightfully so, but Samaje Perine is my new unhung hero. For the 2nd week in a row, he was the man out there on the final drive, and the Broncos were in a dire position. 3rd and 10, they have to run a draw to Perine just to get to 4th and manageable, at which point, with 0 gravity on the field due to Dobbs' presence, Russ floats Nearly floats this ball too far, but Sutton hauls it in. Another incredible catch from Unbutton for Sutton. From that point, it was Pirine, 10 yards, 2-minute warning. Pirine again, 17 yards. Pirine, 6 yards and a fumble, but it goes out of bounds. Pirine, 7 yards, 5 plays on the final series, all going to Pirine, and he delivered every single time. Then it happened. Russell Wilson, under duress, actually steps into the chaos of his collapsing pocket and throws a perfect pass, a moon ball, in a shortened field for Sutton to ascend towards heaven like the big dick player he is and snatch it out of the stratosphere for the game-winning touchdown. Now, Denver did fail on the 2-point play because, for whatever reason, they didn't have Pirine in the game. But wait, Minnesota did have all 3 of their timeouts. But without Justin Jefferson on the field, they never stood a chance. Denver kept bringing the pressure, forcing Major Dobbs to just try and get rid of the ball until the game ended with Draymond Jones giving Josh Dobbs the worst wedgie he's ever had. And that's saying something for a science nerd. The wedgie was so bad that the officials actually penalized Dobbs for letting it happen. Seeing an NFL quarterback in a full-blown astronaut outfit is weird. It looks strange, right? But nothing looks more strange to me than seeing Russell Wilson as a ski bum. There are so many things about that image that are diametrically opposed. What I'm saying is nothing makes sense to me as a Broncos fan, but I'm embracing it. I'm embracing the chaos because we're winning. That happened once before. The 2023 Broncos are starting to feel a little bit like the 2011 Broncos. Russell Wilson is much better than Tim Tebow, but I really don't understand how they're winning some of these games. But I also don't care. I'm just going to enjoy the let's ride when we beat the Steelers in the first round of the playoffs again. I don't care what happens after that. Take your Toradol and put your helmet on. I do have Big Dick Patreon shoutouts for new patrons and YouTube members. Corey Stutz, Seth Maloney, Mrs. Knowledge, Timmy Can Run, Lucas, Taylor Moss, and oh hey, it's Michelle. Thank you guys so much for the support. Next week will be the Zoom Hangout for all $10 a month Patreon and YouTube members. I'll post that info in the community tab and on Patreon, so keep an eye out. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please come back tomorrow for a full recap of all the winners and losers from Week 11. And yeah, subscribe here if you can.